Hey everybody, this is Jacob with Mortgage Coach Software Support. This is a tutorial on how to set up a multi-user database. So how to set up the host computer and a client computer to share one database using your Analyze software. Now a couple of things have to be true in order to be able to do this. First thing, both machines must be desktop machines or laptops that are tied to a docking port. They're just not going to go anywhere. The reason we don't advise doing this with laptops is that anytime the laptop is in the field, it won't be on the same network as the other machine, so it won't be able to see the database. So we don't recommend this for laptops. However, if both machines are desktops, they must be able to see each other in either the same work group or same domain, just basically same network at all times. Now if those are true, the host machine must be logged in as an administrator. So meaning when you log in as yourself to open Analyze, you must be an administrator on your computer. That's the only way you can set yourself up as the host admin. So if that's true, here's what you're going to need to do. You want to first install Analyze on your host machine, and if you've already been running Analyze for a while, you've already got a database in here, so you're in good shape and ready to go. What you want to do is go to the Tools menu, click on Settings, and you're going to need to get a couple of pieces of information. So what I usually recommend doing is open up a notepad so that you can copy down some of these pieces of information, and you're going to want to save it to a shared location so you can access it from both this machine and the client machine. This will help make your transition a little bit smoother here. So what I do is go to the Start button, go to All Programs, you're going to go to Accessories, then Notepad. Now once you've got a notepad up, let's go back to our settings wizard. One of the pieces of information you're going to need to capture is the database folder path. Now in order to do this, it's the second line here, so what you can do is left click on the very right side of the address and drag across it, then right click on it and hit copy. Then go back to your notepad and you want to put in your database folder path, and then just go ahead and paste it in there. Now the next piece of information we're going to need is the host name. This is actually the name of the host computer, so your machine. In order to find this, what we're going to do is go down to your Start button. If you're in XP, it'll say My Computer. If you're in Vista, this is just going to say Computer, or Windows 7 will just say Computer as well. But you want to right click on this icon and hit Properties. This is going to open up a new screen for you. Now what you want to find is the computer name. So right here where it says full computer name, I'm going to copy this entire name here by selecting it, then right clicking on it and hitting copy. I can go ahead and cancel out of here now. I'm going to paste that into my notepad. Now at this point I need to save this somewhere where I can access it from the client machine as well. So if that means throwing it on a USB drive or putting it on the network server, just somewhere you can be able to pull this up from the client machine. So let's go to Save. I'm going to save as. And this is actually a shared folder on our network here. I'm going to save it as Multi-User Setup. Now once I've got that saved and ready to go, I'm going to need to do a couple of things here in the settings wizard here on the host machine. Our database folder path is all set, so all we need to do is click on the multiple user database checkbox. We're going to leave the database host exactly as it is, so it should say local host. That means this machine is going to be the host. For the database port, you want to use 3050. It's the default port. If you do need to open up a firewall port, you want to contact your IT guys about doing so. So now once you've completed all this information here, just keep hitting next until you're out of this screen and you'll get to the finish button. And when you hit finish, you'll see that the application settings window will come up and it'll tell you the type has changed and the application has to restart. Go ahead and hit OK there. This is going to restart your application as a database host. So at this point, once you verify that this starts up correctly and everything fires up for you, you can jump over to the client machine and start setting that one up. So I'll show you that in just a second here. So now if you do need to open a port in your firewall, the way to do so, and this is if you're not using any kind of an external firewall service, you're just using the Windows firewall here, you can go to your Start button, go to your Control Panel, then you're going to go to Windows Firewall. And the parts you're going to need to set up is, you'll see it's already on, and you want to make sure that this don't allow exceptions checkbox is unchecked, because you're going to set up an exception. To do that, click on the exceptions tab. Then you're going to click on add port. It's going to ask you what to call it. I'm just going to call this one analyze. And it's going to ask you for the port number, and that was 3050. And go ahead and hit OK, and you'll see it listed in your list of exclusions here. Then you can hit OK again. So you've now opened a port on your computer to allow communication to happen. So if you were running into a problem before, this would be a step to try and solve the problem. But let's jump over to the client machine. So now here we are on the client machine. I've installed Analyze as a single user. So if you've done this, when you open Analyze, you'll see that there's 0 clients in here. It's just a blank database. So now we want to tell it where to find all the information. Now in order to do this, remember I said you're going to have to save that multi-user notepad document that you were saving the information in to a place where you can access from this machine as well. So I had saved it to a profile folder, and I've got that right here. So I've got all the information I need to set this up. In order to do this, we're going to go to the Tools menu. We're going to click on Settings. Now the first thing we need to do is overwrite the database folder path. So we're going to delete what's in there. We're going to jump back over to our multi-user settings, and we're going to copy the entire path exactly as it was written on the other computer. Then we're going to paste that into the database folder path. And you'll see that these should look pretty much the same. The only thing that's going to look different is the actual profile part of this. As you can see, this one is my machine, the one that says J Gibbs. The one that says test is actually the client machine. So what this is telling Analyze is that the application itself will run here on the client machine. The database, though, will be housed on my other machine, the host machine. Now the last part of this is you got to check the multiple user database. Then instead of database host, we're going to delete this. We're actually going to put in that computer name that we copied onto our setup sheet. So going back to our notepad, we're going to copy that entire computer name. Jump back over to the settings window, and we're going to paste that in there. And you can see that that's the entire name there. Then just keep hitting next until you get to the end here, and you'll see a finish button. And once you hit that, it'll say database type has changed, just like before. Application will have to restart. Once this does restart, however, it's going to be pointing at your shared database. So I'll show you that in just a second here. So as you can see, now I've got 3 clients in here. This is actually showing the host machine's database, where I had done a couple of TCA examples on it. But you can check to see if it's actually looking at the right database by going back to your Tools menu, go to Settings again, and then check the database folder path. If it's still the way you left it and it still says multi-user, you know you've connected correctly. And what will happen is each time you make edits on either machine in any of the records, it'll actually be saved to one common database. Now you won't see the updates in real time. You'll only see it once you close one Analyze software and reopen it. It'll pull in the updates that the other machine has brought into the database. That's just to keep you from overwriting the same data. But outside of that, if you have any questions or run into any problems with this, please contact support@mortgagecoach.com, and we'd be happy to assist. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.